So I've been working on cleaning up some drive shafts and putting some drive shafts together. And it dawned on me that maybe I should do a drive shaft video because drive shafts are complicated. And they have a bazillion different part numbers. I mean, if you start looking around, there are literally 20 or 30 part numbers just for garden tractors and subcompact tractors. And so what I figured I would do is, what I did is I ran around the shop collecting as many drive shafts as I could find. Now keep in mind that these two in the front are the ones that started this out, and the next video will actually be me cleaning these two drive shafts up. So what we've got here is this is a drive shaft for a deck. This is a drive shaft that is labeled for a snowblower for an X series. This is a drive shaft that is labeled for a snowblower. This is a drive shaft that is labeled for a snowblower. One of these is an X series, the other one is a mysterious tractor. We have one is labeled or was on a deck, and another one was on a deck. You can see a lot of similarities. You can also see a lot of differences in these drive shafts. I think really the odd drive shaft out is probably this top one. This top one is off of a 54 or 40. We'll just turn the tags over here. It is off of a 48, 54, 60-inch deck for a 4-5 series, so 425, 445, and 455. These drive shafts will not work on, well, I mean, I suppose they would work to some degree. Anyway, we'll get into that here in just a minute. This drive shaft, it came to me in parts, as it's an X series 46 and 47 blower drive shaft that is used. This came out of a brand new kit, 2305 1025R for a 47 or 46 inch snowblower. This came out of a brand new kit for a X series. So you see the similarities. These are both X series drive shafts here. Now keep in mind, these are actually older drive shafts because Deere has gone away from these square tubes or rectangle tubes to spline drive shafts on their newest part number. This one right here is off of a 54C deck. And this one right here is off of a 54HC deck. So there's lots of differences, lots of little itty bitty differences here, and that causes these drive shafts to be to where you can't use them across multiple attachments. Namely, the snowblower drive shafts and deck drive shafts are not the same. That is one of the reasons is if we look, we're actually going to compare this one down here since they're both accessible. If we look, the snowblower basically input shaft is larger than the deck gearbox input shaft, which if we actually look at a deck input gearbox, we've got our bolt that holds it on through that retaining relief right there. And meanwhile, we have generally some type of shear bolt or a spring pin that goes in our blower drive shafts. So when it comes to, and the thing about it is, if it wasn't so muddy, I've got a 60-inch deck off of a 420 that I would bring that drive shaft in because it is actually slightly different than all of these. And then if we really want to get complicated, hold on just a second. Went ahead and added a little bit more interesting drive shaft in there. So this is a drive shaft off of a quick hitch for a 318, which I suppose it should be turned around this way if we're going to put it with the rest of the items here. But you can see the difference in all of these drive shafts and why they will not work. And this is, I don't know why this is so robust, but it is. So you see how all of the different drive shafts, they have a specific purpose. They have specific ends. I suppose, lengthwise, I guess that you could, I would really have to study this, but I suppose that you could probably interchange these two. I don't know if the part numbers interchange or not. My guess is there's a problem with how the drive shafts move in and out between the 4-5 series and the newer X series decks for the 54Cs. So I'm not really sure about those two. But blower drive shafts, obviously across multiple machines, they are slightly different. And then you just got this big hoss of a drive shaft down here. And then here's the drive shaft for a new 54 or newer style 54HC deck. That's a little bit different in multiple ways from all of them. It's a little bit shorter than the 54C deck. It seems like it might go with the 425, but probably something lengthwise, or there's interference somewhere. But those are drive shafts, and I figured I would just give you an example of why it's important to look at part numbers, follow part numbers. Now keep in mind that part numbers are superseded, and keep in mind that, you know, sometimes they will look a little bit different over the years. Honestly, it just looks like these drive shafts are these shafts, or these stub shafts with extra welded onto them, but who knows? I don't know why they would do that, but hey, who knows? I know, other than protection. But that's it for this video. Hopefully it was informative. It's fun to make. The next video is I'm going to go ahead and get into these two, clean them up because they're very, very stiff. And when I sell stuff, I prefer to have it greased, because a couple years ago, some of you may have watched my video where I busted my broom drive shaft. I just bent it. That was not a pleasant experience, nor was it a cheap experience. And so what I try to do is I really try, like this was a very dirty and stiff drive shaft. I got in there, cleaned up the slide mechanism and inspected everything. So before I sell stuff, I try to, especially drive shafts, I try to inspect them, make sure there's no galling on the shaft or anything that's going to cause it to bind up. I'll rummage around here for just a minute and see if I can find that broom drive shaft. I kept it as a souvenir. So here's that broom drive shaft. Like I said, I kept it as a souvenir. Don't think that's right. Basically what happened is this was all cleaned up. I scraped everything off of it, but it wasn't greased well enough. And what happened is here on the end, you can see, or at least hopefully you can see, there was a little bit of galling right there on the end that bound it up when it went back in the shaft. And when I went back in the shaft, it just, you can kind of see how it bound up in there. Just bent it right over, made a god-awful sound. Terrible, just terrible. I think it was $300 and some odd to fix, and that was about 5 or 6 years ago. So, and here's another one I busted. This is off of a 47 blower for a front mount. It would also be for the 60-inch blower. When you hit stuff, this is just, well, it's not really designed to break, but it does break if you hit something big enough. And I think this part right here, I actually put it on new when I first got the 1445, and it lasted 3 years, and then I broke it. I want to say these are like 250 bucks. So yeah, be careful with drive shafts. So anyway, next video will be me cleaning up those, inspecting them and everything. So thanks for watching.